Aloha, Sandra Azieli here along with my friend R2 for a nice yoga practice. So for practice today, I'd like you to have 2 blocks, a strap, and something to stretch your calves on, because for some of you I know a regular size block is too thick. So as some of you know, you can use a skinnier block. You can see the difference between the two. This one's skinnier. Or my favorite thing is, of course, a half round, but you can always get a rolled up towel or a rolled up mat. So that's all you need. You don't need a chicken friend to join you, but if one happens to come along, you know, it's okay. Unless they're very hungry, and then you got to beware of pecking. Okay, so let's start. Today we're going to explore Warrior 1. And so what I'd like you to do is, before you do anything else, come into Warrior 1, just kind of with your body not too warmed up, or from whatever you've been doing. Turn your left leg in, right leg out, lift your back heel. Inhale, take your arms on up, and bend your front knee. And what I'd like you is just to notice how it feels. Like, is there a place where you feel, this is great, I feel like I want to soar with my pinky finger? Is there a place that might feel a little tight, like, oh, my calf is making it a little harder for me to bend forward? Are you breathing? And just take a moment, notice, am I overextending in my back? Are my ribs coming forward? That's what I often do. Okay, and then to release, straighten the front leg. Let's go the other way. Turn your right leg in, the left leg out, reach through the back heel. Inhale, arms up, and Warrior 1. Again, noticing what feels great. Does it feel good to look up? What feels maybe a little out of sorts? How is your breath? All right, and then release. So just some information, giving a sense of where you are at the moment. Turn the legs in, walk your feet together, and then let's stand in mountain pose. So as usual, notice if your hips are over your heels. Are you standing like a banana? I'm exaggerating. That wouldn't feel very good to stand that way very long. Or standing with your hips over your heels. I'm going to walk a little closer because I forgot to do one thing. My head's going to come out of here for a moment. Apologize for that. To turn something on to make sure this video works well while you're still standing with your hips over your heels. Okay, so again, hips over heels, letting the quads release. Encourage lower ribs to be in line with your hip points. Take your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers, reach your elbows away from each other, and breathe. Next inhalation, encourage a sense of expansion. Exhale, feel your feet grounding down, encourage your spine to lengthen up. So let's keep that length you've created as you take your arms down. Bring your palms together over your heart. Do a little more movement with the arms to facilitate breath. So inhale, take your arms up to the side. Maybe a little higher, and then exhale, and down. So a few times, arms maybe just a bit higher than shoulder height. So we don't want to come into a back bend yet. Right? When the arms go up a certain height, in order to keep them going up, there is an extension necessary in the spine. So for now, just getting the breath moving. Inhale to expand. Exhale, feet grounding, spine lengthening. 3 more times. And then release, take a moment, mountain pose. Okay, now time to stretch the calves. So I know many of you have seen me do this a number of times before, but I'll talk you through it again in case you're not familiar. with this calf stretch, we want to keep our hips over the heels, the spine lengthening, ideally hip points, lower ribs, and pubic bone in a line with each other. So start with the right foot, come to the left side of your block or whatever it is you're standing on, and place the base of the toes on, I'll call it the half round, and then refine your alignment. The tendency is to do some sort of escape, be it the ribs or the pelvis. So can you find those alignment points? And you want your foot to be as far forward or back as is good for you to feel the stretch in the front leg, not the back leg, the front leg. So you might shift it around a little bit. And you might find that different days it's different. You might also find that the balance is a little tricky and you can hold on to something. Grab a chair or wall or anything. Most importantly, breathe. Good. And then release. And take a moment to notice if you feel a little difference on the two sides. And then we'll do the second side. I'll face you this time. So standing with the base of your toes on the lift, your other foot next to it. There's probably a tendency to lean onto one leg. Even that out. The rain is starting again, fortunately. It's not too windy, so the rain won't blow on us, on me. And breathe. So hips over heels, feet grounding, spine lengthening. Good. And then release. Again, put the block off to the side. Again, a little walking forward, a little walking back. Feel the length you've created. And let's come back to mountain pose. Feet grounding, spine lengthening, hips over heels. Reach your fingertips down. Draw your shoulder blades down. Lengthen your spine up. Take your hands again behind your head. Get a little more openness in the side ribs. Inhale, expand. Exhale, lengthen. So there's a lot of components to Warrior One. You may have felt, some may have felt your calf, you may have felt the top of the thigh, your back, your arms, your shoulders, many different components. We're going to play with some of them. Sometimes opening up one can help open up a lot of the others. Sometimes just doing one movement like a calf stretch can help everything else feel better. So now, since we did the calves, let's pay a little more attention to the tops of the thighs. So we're going to come down onto the floor. We're going to stay here for a little while, just letting you know. So come down onto the ground and grab a block. One block, and we're going to place it under your sacrum. So to get there, lie on your back. Hopefully R2, the chicken, is not going to join us, not be too friendly. But take the block, lift your pelvis off the floor, and what I'd like you to do is place the block in such a way that you can create a little length. So you might feel your pelvis actually tipping a little bit towards your rib cage. When I do this, I find I get a nice relaxation in the lower belly, which is not just about the belly, it's about these muscles that connect the back body to the front of the leg, or actually not just the back body, the spine to the legs. And sometimes being in this position allows them to release. So as you're here, take a little longer exhalation. Allow for a sense of letting go as you exhale. And the inhale, gentle expansiveness. Just a few more breaths. All right, and then go ahead and grab your strap and hold it up towards the ceiling, towards the sky. And with your next inhalation, begin to take your arms towards the wall or whatever is behind the crown of your head while keeping stability in the center of your body. If you have something in the way, you can move it out of the way. And then inhale, come back up. And again, inhale, arms come overhead. And then hold there for a moment and reach from the ribs through your upper arms. Just getting that length there. And then inhale your arms back up. Good. And then release the strap. So let's go back to paying attention to the legs. Exhale, let that lower belly soften. And the next time you exhale, take your hand, so the base of your palm is at your hip point, fingers pointing towards your thigh, and begin to extend the right leg onto the floor. Take your left hand to your lower ribs. Keep the lower ribs softening. So you don't want to move with the leg and forsake the ribs. We want to create some length here in this area. It's actually a huge component of Warrior One is having length here. So you can gently slide your hand over the top of the thigh, allowing it to lengthen. Let the leg for now be relaxed. You don't need to engage it quite yet. Nice inhalation, long exhalation. Okay, and then as you keep your hand on the leg, go ahead and reach through the heel. Make the leg a little more active. Can you get even more length from there? And then with your next inhalation, take your left arm up and overhead. So you get the cross diagonal reach, arm and leg, as you breathe. And then to release your left arm, bend your right knee. Check that the block may have shifted. Is it in a good spot? All right, and then second side. Go ahead and extend your left leg out onto the floor, lengthening through the top of that thigh without shifting in your rib cage. Slide your hand to the top of the left hip point, lengthen through the top of the left thigh. Good. And then bring your right arm up into the air. And inhale, begin to take the right arm up and over. Long reach from the leg. Begin to make your left leg active as you reach for your right arm. Breathing. And then bend your left knee, bring your right arm on up. Let's release. All right, and then come off the block and extend both legs. Find your strap again. Reach the strap up towards the ceiling. Inhale, take your arms overhead. Nice reach and stretch again. Paying attention to keeping the rib cage stable. That might mean your hands don't reach the floor. I'm noticing my right arm wants to reach the floor faster than the left. That's not uncommon for one arm to be different than the other. Inhale, bring your arms on up. Put the strap to the side, bend your knees. We're going to roll over to the side. Roll onto your left side and take a block for under your head or a pillow blanket if you prefer, and then another block under your knees. So what we want is to line up so that your shoulders and hips are in line with each other and they don't move. That's the challenge here. We're going to come back to a little more spine mobility. My bottom hand is just flat out. I know you can't see the palm, but the palm's facing up towards the ceiling. Now place your finger on your sternum. So we're not going to move the elbow, the arm, but it will move because you're moving the spine. So a gentle twist. On the exhalation, move from the spine Opening up into the twist. Inhale, come back. At your own pace with the breath. Inhale towards a twist. Exhale, come back. Remember, the important thing is to not move the pelvis. So you're really getting that isolation in the upper body. You might feel some interesting stretch sensation in the belly area, a little bit in your lower back. If you're wearing barrettes, you might also feel them bumping, pressing into your head, so you may need to adjust those as well. Okay, so a few more times back and forth. This is when those micro movements, those little movements, have macro results. And then from there, take your arm up overhead, reach it up towards the ceiling, towards the sky. And then a nice inhalation, take your arm overhead, reach long through the upper arm. Now, I'm not going to reach super strong in this side because this is having to do with my scoliosis, but intention is to create space in this side ribs. Breathe. Get that reach. And then spend a little time exploring the range of motion there. That joint area can get really jammed up. And then when we don't move from here, we wind up overusing other places. So keeping mobility here is very good. You might find as you go back and forth a few little places where it's a little bit more kinked up. Is that the phrase? Stay breathing. Just, again, exploring a bit. All right, and then go ahead, release that. Time for the other side. So use your hand, press on down, lift up. So again, block under the head, block between your knees. Shoulders aligned with hips. Fingers just at the sternum. Nice inhalation, and on your exhalation, find the spiral in the spine. So hips and shoulders, hips stay steady. Exhale, you may find that you actually don't go very far if you keep the hips steady. All right, and then come back to neutral and take your left arm up into the air. Turn the palm in the direction of your head and bring the arm up and over. Breathe here. I find it very interesting for me when I do some of that gentle twisting, it actually releases my shoulder quite a bit. So then go ahead and explore the range of motion. R2 is wondering what I'm doing. I don't think she's seen me necessarily doing this. She's wondering if I've got some food in here somewhere. That's it, taking a little time. All right, and then release. And make your way back to your back, to lie down again with the strap within reach, like we were earlier. And take the block just the same, under your sacrum. So it's right at the edge of your sacrum, so there's a little tip in the pelvis. You feel a little bit almost like your lower belly has become more like a bowl that can release down. Find your strap. Just have it within release, reach. And then extend your right leg, and then check and see how it feels to extend both legs now. So we've created a lot more openness right here. So as we do this, we want to be careful not to lift the ribs up towards the ceiling, but to create length through the top of the thigh. And maybe you can envision how this is really important in those warrior poses, getting that length there. It's important in all back bends, really. Okay, so then you might stay here. This might be enough for you, or grab the strap again and reach your arms. As you reach your arms, pay attention to the ribs. Go slow. Lengthen through the side ribs. Breathe. Inhale, bring your arms back up. Release the strap. Bend your knees. Come off of the block. And a little tetrasana, moving your arms and legs around different directions. Wrists as well, shoulders. And then however works for you to make your way up. Sometimes I like to go slowly to round up without putting pressure on the neck. Okay, back to sitting. Sit on whatever height is good for you. Maybe it's one of those skinny blocks. Maybe it's a roller. Don't sit on a chicken. I don't recommend that. But let's sit for a moment. Cross-legged, sit bones grounding, spine lengthening. Interlace your fingers. Reach your palms forward. Take your arms up to the first stopping point. Keep the reach through the arms. Lift your shoulder blades. Arms up to the second stopping point. Again, nice long reach and stretch. Release your fingers. Palms face each other. Then, as you exhale, take your right hand to the left side of your navel. Nice inhalation. Reach up with that left arm. On your exhalation, let's begin to spiral. As you spiral, take the left arm down and bring it a little over towards the right leg. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. As you go a little further, right hand comes behind your back. Don't use your hands yet to draw yourself into the twist. Use the muscles of the torso. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. When you feel the twist going up higher and higher into your shoulders, go ahead, turn your head as well. And then if it feels really good to use your hands, press your left hand a little bit more into your right knee. Draw yourself a little more deeply into the twist. One more inhalation. On the exhalation, unwind. Release. And switch across of your legs. Sit bones ground. Spine lengthen. Interlace your fingers. Opposite thumb on top. Palms forward. Arms up. First stopping point. Second stopping point. Get that length. Release your fingers. Right hand to the left side. On your exhalation, left hand to the right side. On your exhalation, spiral. As you spiral a little bit, bring the right arm down. Take your time. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. Left hand behind the back. Right hand on the knee. As you go a little further, bring your head into the twist, bring your neck into the twist. And at the very end, maybe a little pressure with your right hand to deepen the twist. One more inhalation here. Exhale, unwind. Back to center. Wiggle your fingers, take your feet out in front, wiggle your toes. Time for Dandasana. Hands at the back of your thighs. Press your hands into your thigh sides, into your hands, straighten the legs. Open up the spaces between your toes. And one more time. Let's get that length. Find your strap. Inhale. Take the strap up. Lengthen through the side waist. Remember, imagine warrior one. Arms are up. We're getting that length in the spine. Opening up in the shoulder joint. Now, from the space between your shoulder blades, look up gently. And then let's take the arms on down. Put the strap off to the side. Come onto your hands and knees for a puppy pose. So tuck your toes under. You won't need your blocks for a little while. And reach one hand forward, the other hand forward. Nice inhalation. Exhale, lean back. Let your ears come the height of your arms. Just get the length in your spine. Pressing down with the palms. Now come forward a little bit. Bring your shoulders forward a little. From here, slide your shoulders away from your ears. Look up between your hands. Keep looking up and lean back again. You won't be able to go as far, but you'll feel the sensation probably in a different spot. And then let your head release again. Lengthen through the side ribs. And release into child's pose. Okay, and then it's time for downward facing dog. So from child's pose, take your arms overhead, tuck your toes under, spread your fingers gently, and then lift your hips up and back. Let your head hang, shake it out a bit. Press the base of the palms towards the front of the mat, and then slowly move towards extending your legs. I like to hold the outer edges of the mat. That works for my shoulders. You might keep your palms where they are. Good. And then lift your heels as high as they will go. Take your sit bones up and back. Press your thigh bones back. And then begin to lower the heels slowly. Don't worry if they touch the ground. And child's pose. Next inhalation, come up to sitting. And grab your blocks again. 2 blocks. And if you want some padding for your knee, you can double your mat or put a blanket under your knee. We're going to do a little bit of lunging. So I'd like you to first take your right foot forward between your hands into a lunge. Make sure you can see my feet. There we go. And then inhale, come on up. Now the tendency is for the top hip to be higher. It's actually very challenging to keep the hips even in this position. So play with that, but don't worry about if it's not quite there. You might feel it more in the opposite knee too. What I'd like you to pay more attention to is what's happening at the top of your left thigh. So bring your base of your palm to the top of the left thigh and lengthen down. Top of the left thigh. As you lengthen the top of the left thigh down, encourage your spine to lengthen up. Just holding that for a moment. So you may feel here that when you do that, you decrease your lumbar curve. But what I'm actually more interested in is what's going on with the ribs, so that the ribs are not popping forward. Okay. And then go ahead and release and switch sides. So now take your left leg up. I'll show you from this angle. Right? So that when we come up, we're not doing something like this. You hear me say that over and over, and I will continue to. Encourage your hips to stay even in line with each other as much as possible. Hand at the top of the thigh. Lengthen down the top of your right thigh as you lengthen up with the spine. Again. pelvis still has a lumbar curve, but you're not overextending in the rib cage. And then bring your hands back to the blocks. And let's take 3 big circles to the right, the hips. Be on the blocks for this one. And then 3 big circles to the left. And then come back to a lunge, right foot forward. I like taking the block at the higher level. So this time we will tuck the back toes under and lift the back leg. And notice that when I lifted the back leg, maybe you didn't notice, maybe you did, that I attempted to not lift my pelvis. So there's a big difference between lifting the back leg by going like this versus lifting the back leg by just literally lifting the back leg. It's a different action in the body. So I'm here reaching through the left leg, shoulder blades away from the ears, breathing, lengthening the spine. Okay, and then bring your left knee onto the floor. Come back to that position where we were earlier, where you lengthen through the top of the thigh. And then inhale, take the arms on up. Palms face each other. Again, can you keep the length in the spine as you open up in the shoulder joint? And at the very end, look up gently. One more inhalation. Exhale, release on down. Take your right leg back to meet your left. Take a moment. And second side. So left foot forward. Same thing. Tuck the back toes under. Lift the back leg. Reach long through the heel. Slide your shoulders away from your ears. Press the thigh bone up towards the ceiling. Or even wiggle your jaw a little side to side. Breathe. And then bring the right knee on down. Lift your torso up. Take your hand at the top of the thigh. Find that length there. Lengthening down. Spine lengthening up. Inhale, arms up. Breathing from the space between your shoulder blades. Look up. This is a balance practice. Bring your hands on down. Take your left leg back to meet your right. And your choice, child's pose, puppy pose, or Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Okay. And then wherever you are, take a moment, child's pose. Inhale, let's come back up one more time to the blocks, to the lunges. So right leg forward between your hands again. Tuck your back toes under. We're going to add on. Did I lift my pelvis? Did you see? All right, maybe a little bit. As a fly lands on my eyebrow. All right, long reach. That's one thing they don't show you about in all those glorious pictures of paradise. Is yes, there are bugs, but where I live, fortunately, not too many. Okay, left hand on the block. Find your spine. Know that it's there. And then as you keep the reach through the back leg, begin to spiral to the right. So you get that long reach through the back leg while we spiral. Option to stay here or lift your right arm up into the air, or maybe take it up and over your right ear. Nice long reach. Variation of Pavrita Parshvakonasana. One more inhalation. And then exhale to unwind. Bring your back knee onto the floor. And take a moment. Take your right leg back to meet your left. And second side. So left foot comes forward. Tuck your toes under. Lift the back leg. Reach long through the back heel. Take the block under your right hand a little closer to the left foot. Keep the long reach through the back leg as you begin to spiral. Encourage the hips to stay steady. Maybe stay here. Maybe take the left arm up into the air. I'm going to put my left finger on my shoulder. You might take your left arm over your left ear. Play around with the neck position. One more inhalation. On your exhalation, unwind. Bring the right knee down. Left leg back to meet the right. Once again, your choice. Child's pose, puppy pose, or downward facing dog. Good. And then if you're not in child's pose, come into child's pose. If you're in child's pose, stay there. And inhale to sitting. And then come to standing. Bring your feet parallel to each other. Back into mountain pose. Feet grounding, spine lengthening. Hips over heels. Remember that length at the top of the thigh. Bring your fingers at the base, at the hip points. Encourage your spine to lengthen up. And reach your arms by your side. Reach long through the fingers. Let's create a little more length at the top of the thigh. So go ahead and shift your weight over to your right leg. And take your left leg a little forward because we're focusing on the back leg now. Once you're here, the tendency is to lean onto the back leg. So shift the weight so you're leaning on both legs. And keep the lower ribs down. So it's similar to a calf stretch position, except now your leg is much further forward. Working toward having the hips over the heels. As you do that, the back heel. Lengthen through the top of the back thigh. Encourage your spine to lengthen up towards the ceiling. Okay. Now maintain that and bend the front knee just a little bit. You won't be able to get very far if you're actually doing this. So no movement in the pelvis. Breathe. So if I'm standing, if you want to see me from the side, I'm taking my foot forward, but I'm not shifting. Keeping the weight on the back leg. This foot comes forward. You even out the side-to-side distribution. Keep lengthening the top of the thigh, and then I bend my knee. So it's creating length through here. In order to bend the knee and be able to do this, I have to have a lot of length at the top of the thigh. Okay, release that, and switch sides. So you're going to now take your right foot forward. Even out the side-to-side weight. Keep your weight, though, also on the back heel. So what I mean by that is you're not tipping one direction. You're evenly distributed side to side, but there's more weight on the back leg. Base of the palm at the hip point. Lengthen down. The top of the thighs, you lengthen up with the spine. Breathe. And then gently bend the front knee without shifting the pelvis. So if you do that without shifting the pelvis, all the length comes above and below in the spine and at the top of the thigh. And then straighten the, we'll stay here a little longer. We did the first side for a good amount of time. And then straighten your front leg. Stand with both feet together. Take a moment, mountain pose. Take your hands behind your head. Reach your elbows away from each other. Gently lengthen up. Release your arms. Roll the shoulders a few times. Now find your strap. Stand with your feet as parallel as feels comfortable. Take a hold of the strap. Inhale. Have it wider than shoulder distance apart. Take the strap on up. Feet grounding, spine lengthening. Reach from the sides up into the strap. Good. And then from the space between your shoulder blades, gently look up. And then take your arms down. Bring your gaze forward. Walk your hands a little closer together. And again, feet grounding, spine lengthening. Inhale. Arms up from the space between the shoulder blades. Look up. And then take your arms on down. Put the strap off to the side. And we're going to get that sense of how in Warrior One, right? It is a back bend, starting the back leg, but going all the way up through the spine. But the tendency often when we do these back bends is to just jam into one place. So without the leg action, I'd like you to play just a little bit with finding that kind of extension in your spine. Extension is the arching. This is extension, this is flexion. Okay, so bring your hands to your hip points. Take your fingers down. Keep the legs active, thigh bones pressed back. And with your next inhalation, lengthen up, up, up. Then take your hands to your lower ribs. So do not poking them forward, but from the space between your shoulder blades, look up a little bit. Breathe. So this is a very slight back bend. Slide your hands down to the hip points. Reach your fingertips down, keep lengthening up. And then release forward. Let's do that one more time. Fingers at the top of the hip points right here. Pressing in and down. Lengthen up with the spine. Creating a gentle sense of extension. Now the pelvis, this time we'll go a little further. Your pelvis might come a little forward as you do this. From the space between the shoulder blades, look up. In order to get into a deeper back bend, your pelvis does have to come forward. Part of that coming forward is that length we've created at the top of the thigh. And then bring it back. Okay, let's come back to the breath and a little more arm movement. But this time we're going to take our arms up higher, all the way overhead. No need to have the hands touch. For most of us, the hands really don't touch without compromising the shoulders. So when you take your arms on up, just watch for a moment. Right, like for me right now, today, I get about here. Unless I lift my head, then my arms come closer. But I'll bring them together when I bring my elbows down. And after I do it a few times, I might find that it gets easier. So that when we take our arms up, we do it with a sense of extension. So we take our arms out to the side. As the arms come higher than the shoulders, we begin to look up. Maybe the palms come together, maybe not. We bend the elbows, bring the palms together. 3 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Take a moment, mountain pose. All right. Now, time to come into big asana. Take the legs wide. Put some of these things together a little bit more. Arms wide, legs wide. Take up a lot of space. Roll your arms so your palms face up towards the ceiling. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn your left leg in, your right leg out. Now, when you do this, if you don't shift your feet at all, you're probably going to be facing diagonally in relationship to your front leg. So, to change that, lift your back heel, pivot to turn the pelvis. Bring the back heel onto the ground. Now, with the back heel on the ground, if you feel any tension at all in your lower back, walk your right foot to the right. So that looks like this. If you, right, often you might go to in here this notion of alignment of front heel to back arch. I find that doesn't work for a lot of people. It causes too much strain in the back. So instead, walk your foot a little over to the side. From there, take your hand to the top of the thigh and lengthen. Take your other hand, your right hand, to the lower ribs and don't let them come forward yet. We're just going to hold this for a moment. Reaching through the back leg, get that length down from the thigh, up through the spine. Good, and then release. Turn your right foot in and go the other direction. So now the right leg goes in, left leg goes out. I'll move the blocks out of the way so you can see a little better. So turn the back heel in, front leg out, lift the back heel, facing over the front leg. Check how it feels on your back. Maybe walk your left leg a little to the left. Bring your right hand to the top of the right thigh. Lengthen down. Left hand on the rib cage. Ribs stay in line pretty much with the hip points. It might be a tiny bit forward because of the position of your leg, but mostly in line. Breathe. And then to release, turn your left leg in. Walk your feet together. Come back into mountain pose. Hands at the top of the hips. Lengthening down. Bring your palms together. Let's inhale. Arms up 3 times. Inhale. Looking up. Maybe your palms come together or a little closer this time. Exhale, release. Right? Lengthening from the top of the thighs. Gentle arc of the spine. And release. Now, grab your 2 blocks, bring them to the long side front of the mat. Come back into big asana. Arms wide, legs wide. Roll your arms so your palms face up towards the ceiling from the space between the shoulder blades. Look out over your right arm. Just get a little more neck mobility. Come back to center. Look out over your left arm. Come back to center. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, lift your hip sockets up and over your thigh bones. Exhale, hinge forward. Bring your hands onto the blocks. So let's keep the spine nice and long here. We're not going all the way down, especially because we're working on Warrior 1, which is more of a back bend. So I don't want to do too much forward bending right now. But here, let's find the twist. So take your left hand, holding the block a little closer to your right hand. Keep the hips even. Take your right hand behind your back. Press down actively with the base of your left hand and begin to spiral your spine. Keeping the hips even. You might find you don't go super far if you don't shift the hips. Right? This would be shifting the hips. We want to avoid that. Just to get a true twist here. Shoulder blade away from the ear. Let your head come into the twist. One more inhalation. Maybe another one. And then go ahead, unwind. Bring both hands onto the block. Lengthen the spine forward and second side. Root down with the right hand, left hand on the back. Exhale to spiral. One more inhalation. Exhale, unwind. Bring your hands onto the blocks. Walk them forward. Wide-legged. High, downward facing dog type position. Breathe. And then walk your hands back. Bend your knees a little bit. Inhale, come up. Walk your feet together. You can keep the blocks there for later. Bring your palms together. Feel the shoulder blades firm. And one more time, at least one more time, let's inhale. Arms up. Exhale. Release. Again, inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Take your legs wide again. Big asana for a moment. Lots of space. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn your left leg in. Turn your right leg out. I'm going to mirror you. Lift the back heel. Find that length at the back thigh. And this time, as you reach long through the back thigh, begin to bend the front knee a little bit. And then come back up. Pay attention to what's happening in the middle of your body. Can you keep the length as you bend the front knee? Go back and forth a few times, up and down. Keeping the length. So you will, as you go deeper into it, there will be a little bit of an arc that begins to occur in the spine. But be careful that it's a full body experience, not just in one spot. 2 more times. And then straighten that front leg. Let's go do the same thing to the other side. So left leg comes in, or right leg comes in, left leg comes out. Feeling what's going on in that center as you bend the knee and straighten the leg. And you may begin to notice that it's a little easier to do this on one side than the other. Two more times. Good. And then turn your left leg in. Walk your feet together. Okay, let's do this one more time. Bring your palms together. Inhale, sweep your arms on up. Exhale. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, coming down. One more time. Inhale, arms up. This time, hold your arms up. Feel the feet grounding down, spine lengthening from the space between your shoulder blades. Look up. Lengthen through the top of the thighs. Open up the chest. Good. And then bring your palms together. Release. Grab your strap, wherever it may be. Take your legs wide again. We're serious about building this warrior one. Left leg in, right leg out. Lift your back heel. Pivot your shoulders. Then take the strap out in front. Take a nice inhalation. On your exhalation, as you bend the knee, lift your arms, holding the strap. Keep your gaze forward to start with. If there's a pebble in the way, move your foot around. Get away from that pebble. Okay, then notice what the ribs are doing. Can you get a lot of length at the top of the thigh? You may notice that as I'm in this pose, I'm being honest with myself, I'm not bringing my knee super far down yet, because if I do, I feel it compromises myself in the rib cage, especially in this side. I'm a little tighter on this side. So I go down, get the length in the spine, watch my ribs, reach up with the strap, and then from the space between the shoulder blades, I begin to look up. That lets my spine release a little bit. I bend my knee a little bit more. And then inhale, come up with the leg, release your arms. Second side, left leg, right leg in, left leg out. Find that pivot. Inhale the arms up. Long reach through the back leg. Exhale, begin to bend the front knee. Long reach, top of the left thigh, all the way through the fingers, all the way up. From the space between your shoulder blades, go ahead and lift up. You may have just heard Alexa. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it.
All right, and then release, straighten the front leg. Release the strap, turn your legs back. Walk your feet together. One more time, mountain pose. And yes, we're going to do warrior one more time as the sun comes out. You may see. Lengthen through the top of the thighs. Okay, last time. Arms wide, legs wide. Bring your hands to your hips. Left leg in, right leg out. Lift the back heel. Root down with the back leg. Inhale. I'm going to take my arms up, forward. Feels as if I have that strap giving me support. Root down with the back leg. Find that length at the top of the front thigh. Feel where it feels good for me to place my front leg in relationship to my back leg. Notice that my ribs go on a vacation. All right, and then bend the front knee. As I bend the front knee from the space between the shoulder blades, I look up. Long reach through the back leg, feeling that arc in my entire spine. Warrior one. Looking forward, I lower my ribs. When I look up, I let them extend a little bit. All right, and then release. One more side. Right leg turns in, left leg turns out. Pivot the heel. Inhale to come up. Exhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Long reach from the back leg, all the way up. Good. And then to release, straighten your front leg. Turn the left leg in. You've got your blocks there to hinge forward. Take a moment on the blocks. Thigh bones press back, spine lengthens forward. Breathe. And then walk your blocks forward. Hinging at the hips, get the length in the spine. And if it's appropriate for you, you might take your hands off the blocks. Let your spine release towards the floor. And then to come up, bend your knees slightly. Bring your hands forward. Walk your feet. Maybe if it helps to bring them a little closer. Inhale, come up. Feet together. Mountain pose. Okay, and time to release. Find that inner flow of your warrior. Flow your way down to the ground. Have a strap within reach. And go ahead, lie on down. Extend your legs. Take the arms overhead. Get nice long reach, keeping that length. Reach for your heels now. Next time you exhale, bring the right knee into the chest. Swing the strap around your right foot. Let's do a gentle Supta Padangustasana. So just getting a sense of lengthening the back of the leg, engaging the back of the leg. If you want to do a few variations of positions, you might move the leg around. And then bend the right knee. Place the right leg next to your left. And second side, bend your left knee. Swing the strap. Take the leg up. Foot into strap, strap into foot as you reach for your heel. And then release the left knee. Take a moment. Grab your block. Take it between your knees. Take your arms out to your side. And then lift your pelvis a little off the floor. Shift it to the left. And slowly take your knees to the right. Keep your left shoulder on the floor. So if the left shoulder comes off the floor, put your other block under your knees. You want to have a full twist here, not a roll. The knees come to the right. Upper spine spirals to the left. You might turn your head to the left as well. And then as you inhale, bring your knees back up. Shift your hips over to the right. And slowly take your knees over to the left. Again, spiraling of the spine as you go. Next inhalation, bring the knees up. And it's time for Shavasana, for relaxation pose. So if you need to get up and get something to get ready, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, just make sure you've got a clear space, nothing in your way. And lie on down. Important part of practice is Shavasana. Lengthen the back of the neck, letting your body receive all the input you've given. Position yourself so you feel that you could be here for a little while. And just be here without having to move. Just be here, let your breath flow. And let the flow of your breath guide you to Shavasana, to relaxation. And then slowly and gently, without any additional movement quite yet, bring your awareness back to your body and back to your breath. Then bring a little movement to your fingers. Bring a little movement to your toes. Reach a little through your arms, reach a little through your legs. And bend one knee at a time, roll over to your side. Use your hands to come on up and come up to a seated position. Once you're there, bring your palms together over your heart. Press the palms in towards each other. Invite a gentle, expansive inhalation. Feel the release of the exhalation. Feel your sit bones grounding, spine lengthening. And let the quality of a warrior enter into your seated posture. So may our practice of exploring the physical sensations, creating more opening, creating more space, creating more strength within the body, help support us to also experience the qualities of an inner warrior. Namaste. And mahalo. So I hope you enjoyed this practice, perhaps found some of it challenging. I find that with Warrior 1, as I think I mentioned throughout the class, there's a lot of different spots that create some restriction. And in some ways, the more I practice this pose, the harder it is, as in a number of poses. It kind of goes in cycles. It's all of a sudden easy, then it gets hard, then it gets easy, it gets hard, but it's like constantly uncovering different layers. And some of the common layers, some of the common spaces in Warrior 1 are first the calves. So releasing the calves can really help the whole chain be open. And of course the top of the thighs, where we spend a lot of time today focusing on how the top of the thighs, this area from above the hip points to below, so it's not just the top of the thighs, it's right around the pelvis to the top of the thighs, really psoas and iliacus muscles, so deep down, that are often prevent us from getting into these nice full extensions because they're really tight from a lot of the sitting that we do. And also because we spend more of our time with our knees bent, with our legs forward, than we do in extension. So I hope you found that helpful, informative. Continue to play with it. We'll continue to play with all these concepts. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll say thank you for watching. Mahalo. And R2 went away, but I'm sure she was happy to be here with us as long as she gets a treat. All right. Mahalo. Namaste. Till next time.